Yes, here we are again. It's another episode of the William Hill Square Ball pod with myself, Dave McIntyre. Flying solo today, but we have another brilliant guest. We are into the final couple of weeks of season 2. It's been a really brilliant few weeks. We've had really the honour of bringing you so many wonderful guests who've talked so honestly about their careers on and off the field. We are going to focus on hurling today. Get in touch with us on YouTube, as we always ask you to do. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page at the Square Ball Pod. So many engagements from our listeners and our viewers on YouTube over the last few weeks with some of the guests that we've had. We keep saying, bar our All-Ireland Final previews, the hurling and football this year, every other episode that we've done will not have dated in any way. So even if you want to go all the way back to season 1, where we've had some brilliant football and hurling guests, dive right in there, and all of the guests we've had in season 2 as well. It's been a stellar list, a superstar list. You can get in touch with us on social media as well, at William Hill Ireland on Twitter and on Instagram. A lot of other good social media sporting content on there also. And make sure if you're listening to us on Spotify that you like and you subscribe, and get in touch with us as well on Spotify. We read all of your comments, and as many of you who have got in touch with us in recent weeks can attest to, we started to get back in reply to some of them as well, because we really do love when our viewers and our listeners get in touch. We're kind of making history in terms of the Square Ball Pod today, maybe not in real world terms, but we have just the third current intercounty hurler or footballer on the podcast today. We are making history in one sense that it's the first set of brothers, because on season 1, as our long-time listeners will know, we had Tipp legend Paudie Maher. Well, today we've got his baby brother, a 2-time All-Star, a 3-time All-Ireland medalist, and of course the Tipperary All-Ireland winning captain from just 2 weeks ago when they beat Cork so convincingly in the hurling decider at Croke Park. It is Tipp captain Ronan Maher. You're so welcome.
Thanks very much.
You're on 3 now with Paudie.
Yeah.
And you've captained Tipp to the All-Ireland, which he didn't manage to do. So you've got he doesn't know, he no longer has the bragging rights in that household.
Oh, I don't know about that one now. Listen, he's had a serious career, but at least I got up and matched him with the 3 All-Ireland, so I'm on level par that way at the minute.
Yeah, when you lay them out at the dinner table, he no longer has one up on you.
Yeah.
And of course, you're in a position potentially to go on and get another at some point, because you're still a young man. So not that Paudie would, begrudge the fact that the little brother might have had 4. Tell me, how are you? Like, at what point in the last 2 weeks have you been able to come up for air?
Sure, crazy. Listen, it's something that I've dreamed about. I suppose the last week has just flown by, but celebrated with all great teammates, great family, friends. It was just an unbelievable week. I suppose it was Friday or Saturday last where we kind of got grounded again and realised what was after happening, and tipped up to the football All-Ireland on Sunday. So
there was a Tuesday club and a Wednesday club and a Thursday club and a Friday club.
Oh, there was. I think we'd done a full tour of Tipperary. We were in Nina, we were in Clonmel, we were in Thurles, so we hit all parts of Tipperary, and in fairness to supporters, they followed us along as well, so it was brilliant. Just unbelievable week. And
then you got up to Croker for the Kerry Donegal game.
Yeah.
As a group, you all went up?
No, I went up with the cousin there.
Okay.
I went up on Sunday and had to go up and watch David Clifford. It's just different animal altogether.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable, and Kerry were just unbelievable on the day, and it brought back some good memories from the week before. But outstanding, yeah.
Before we started recording, you were bringing me through and look, you need a PhD to figure out the way championship operates in the likes of Kerry and Cork and Tipperary. Those 3 counties in particular are just so different to everyone else. But the divisional championships in Tipp got underway last weekend. Now, I know Thurles Sarsfields had a bye into their next round, but a lot of the other clubs didn't. And a lot of your All-Ireland winning teammates were in action last weekend.
Yeah, the majority of them were. And listen, some lads were out in their first round of the championship on Friday night, and a lot of lads played Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon, so they only had a couple of days to get themselves back right. So it is a quick turnaround. It gets you back to earth fairly quickly when you have to go back and you have to focus in your club. But
5 or 6 days in the beer and you're in playing championship.
Yeah, sure. Listen, I suppose it's just the way things are, and no better way to get you back than face into the club championship. Luckily enough, we had a bye and we'll play McCarthy Burris now on Wednesday night. But looking forward to getting stuck back into the club. It's always a lot easier going back when you're after winning rather than losing. So listen, it's in fairness to everybody, they turned up, they played for their club the weekend, represented them like they represented them all year really well. So has to be done. I'm sure a lot of the Kerry, like the likes of Kerry and stuff like that, will probably have to face into their championship now this week as well.
I think it's incredible to see how quickly, and I don't know, was it always the case? Maybe it probably was, how quickly intercounty hurlers and footballers get back with the club. Like I play with Raheny, and Our seniors had a league game 4 days after Dublin were beaten by Tyrone. Brian Howard and Sean McMahon both started the game. And I just think that's probably been replicated all across the country. It's not just the two Raheny boys. You've just given us example. It is happening at Tipp as well. It's unbelievable. It just goes to show that there is no disconnect between the club man and the county man. Yes, go celebrate winning the Lee McCarthy, but you better be back with us as soon as our next game and our first training session is up and running. Like no one expect you don't expect a break, do you?
Well, like in fairness, the club lads and the club managers, they've been training for the last 7-8 months as well. Like, you know, and in fairness to them, like they're only waiting to get going as well. But like it's just the GAA, and that's why we all love the GAA. You can go to the heights of the heights on a Sunday and you're back in with your club where it all started. So like some nights you'll be going back in training on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, like, you know. So it just shows, I suppose, that we all love it and we love where we came from as well. So we want to represent them as best we can. But listen, it's like I said, it's a lot easier to go back now when you're after winning, and I suppose I wouldn't say fresh, but it's easier to get back in and get involved with the lads where it all started.
Tell me about the homecoming in Semple Stadium. Like, you're a Thurles man. Semple Stadium is like a second home to you, and probably has been since you could pick up a hurl as a child. And there you are in front of thousands of Tipperary supporters, trying to give a speech 24 hours after giving the speech at the top of the Hogan Stand steps. And you're looking at your phone there. You've obviously pre-prepared something. Like, as a Thurles Sarsfield's hurler, to be able to do it with Lee McCarthy sitting there beside you, that must be beyond anything you've ever dreamt of.
Yeah, there was so much emotions, I suppose, going through my head on Monday. It was unbelievable. There must have been 50,000 people in Thurles. And when we walked out on the stage there, the Tipp roar was absolutely outstanding. The biggest roar I've ever heard in my life. And it was really just a dream come true to walk out with Liam Cahill and the Liam McCarthy Cup and all the players as well. Just to walk out on that stage and get that reception. It just shows where we've come from last year, where we were struggling to get people behind us, supporters behind us, and just to see how it all turned around. And the Monday night was just a perfect example of the support that we got back on our side. And walking into the clubhouse that night, Pádraig lifted me up on his shoulders. I had the Liam McCarthy Cup and the clubhouse was swarmed. The tears rolled down my eyes when I walked in. It was a dream come true. And just to have all your families and your friends there, and like people from all over Thurles, all over the county, just there and congratulating. And like, I know we walked into Thurles Sarsfields, but like, they were so welcome to everybody in Tipperary. They lifted Darragh McCarthy. The first thing they done was lifted Darragh McCarthy up on their shoulders. All the young lads in Thurles Sarsfields. It was outstanding. And in fairness to Thurles Sarsfields, they gave us some reception coming in. And like I said, it was just a dream come true. I know I mentioned it. I mentioned it on something there the week before the All-Ireland Final, that I had it on my screensaver to be put up on the wall, the Thurles Sarsfield Wall of Legends. And I had it up on my screensaver for the last 2 years. It was something our psychologist sent us, and I was looking at that every day. And when I saw the wall after coming home Monday night and the picture up on it, I just couldn't believe it. And I'm walking past it since, and I just can't believe it. It's just what dreams are made of, absolutely. And it just shows to any young lad out there, any girl, just never give up on their dreams, because it's something that came to life for us last week.
When friends of mine are getting married, and if people who I'm close to who've got married after I did, I always say to them, at certain points in the day, you need to be able to find a little corner and just sit there for 15, 20 seconds and have a little look around. Try and picture in your minds where everybody's sitting, and almost take a freeze frame of a photograph in your own mind of that moment, and do it several times across the day, because your wedding day is one of the best days of your life, and it's going to be gone in the blink of an eye. Is there any scope for you, either post full-time whistle on the Sunday or during that incredible sequence of events on the Monday in the Thurles Sarsfields clubhouse and then in Semple Stadium itself, where you're able to kind of just go, I'm just going to soak this in just for a few seconds here and have a little look around me and try and appreciate it in the moment, rather than just like reflecting on it days, weeks, months, years later?
Yeah, I suppose, listen, we always go into the Palace Bar on a Monday morning after winning the All-Ireland Final, and we had the street full there. But all the players were there together, and I was just taking it all in, no phone out, nothing. And we were just there pointing our hand with the Liam McCarthy Cup up on someone's shoulders outside the Palace Bar. And it's something that we've visualised for the whole year. We always visualise it. It's an amazing spot to be. Big Tipperary pub. And I suppose coming down the bus and facing into the Semple Stadium, like I walked out on the stage, like I said, it was unbelievable. And just soaking it all in. So I do have a few images in my head from that, and like you said, it just goes by a flicker. Like the week was over so quick, but inside in the Thurles Sarsfields Hall, we had a good corner to ourselves. All the players had a corner, and everybody was out there singing. And I'll just never forget that, where everybody was just on such a high, enjoying the moment. Unfortunately, like, it goes too fast.
Yeah.
But Oasis were blaring out. I felt like I was at the Oasis concert. It was just unbelievable seeing lads up on shoulders, the cup being passed around to everybody in the club. Everybody that was outside the club was there. It was unbelievable. Shane McCallum, the last captain to win it, walked in and gave me a big hug as well. So it means something special when you see all those lads around. It was just class. But you couldn't have done it with a better group of players. I just love them all to bits. They're unbelievable. And I think the week after showed how good they are as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, you have to celebrate these things. As we said, it is your third. You were only a Gosson when you won the first. I mean, that's probably you're almost too young nearly to appreciate what you achieved in 2016. 2019, maybe that's the best one you can compare this one to. Like, as your captain now, it's the first All-Ireland since Dillon passed in 3 years ago. So that has been constantly talked about and mentioned as well. So when you kind of put all those little bits and pieces together, how different is this one? You're the captain. You're trying to do it for Dillon. You're trying to do it for Tipp supporters who you feel you let down last year. How did this one compare?
There's no doubt it's really, really special. And I think it's just the group of players and the fact that we were representing Dillon and his family as well. It's just something that has been there for the last 3 or 4 years. This group of people have been through the ringer, both on and off the field. And it just shows, like, the strength of the panel, the strength of the team outside of hurling, the strength of the individual themselves really came out this year, I think. And like, we've been slated the last 2 years in Tipperary, do you know? So we had to face all of that, and we faced it head on. And we, like, the last year we trained like animals, but we got really, really close as a group as well. And I think it's all that stuff that happens outside the field that brings you that bit closer. It's unbelievable, like, and I know just a few of the lads went up to Dillon Quirke's home house on the Saturday before the match, like, and you know, and it's just such a tight group, like, and we always had Dillon in the back of our minds the whole time. We have a big picture of him. We carried him around the dressing room. Like, it's just really emotional. But like, when we walked out in Croke Park on All-Ireland Final day, I think the players just played with freedom, expressed themselves. 6 points down at half time, and walked into the dressing room. Cahill just said, "Go out and win the All-Ireland Final." You know, it was the calmest dressing room that we were in all year. And it was nearly like fate that we were just going to go out and win it. It was just, like I said, such a tight group. But it's definitely up there with one of the most special ones. I can't even remember the one in 2016. I walked into the dressing room after the match and I got sick everywhere after being concussed. And I remember walking into the hotel in my full kit, and everybody was there, the supporters and the team were only on the way back. So that was one with mixed emotions. But I was up in bed then for a good part of the night. But yeah, listen, they're all special, but this one was just, with the group of players and the group of management team, backroom team, everybody that was involved just made it so special.
Well, we'll get into the match in a bit more detail in a few minutes, because it's fascinating the way the game unfolded, particularly that second half. But you mentioned there kind of in passing last year that you've been hammered as a group over the last couple of years, didn't get out of Munster last season, character of the team been questioned, Liam Cahill's methods been questioned. And I did remember there was one of your group talking about a sense of embarrassment almost as he just went about his daily business, like was almost embarrassed to be walking down the street because he had a feel for the way the group was being perceived by Tipperary supporters. Attendances were down. Liam always had to issue a call to arms earlier in the championship this year before the Limerick game, the drawn game. You need to have faith in us. You need to come back out and get behind and reconnect with this Tipp team. So take us back to the last game of the group stage in Munster last season, how you felt then and what the subsequent weeks and months were like for you guys.
Sure, it was sheer frustration, I suppose. We played Clare in our last round of the Munster Championship last year, and we were gone. And we found ourselves 6, 7, 8 points down in that game as well, but fought back like we'd done our best, and we got back to 3 points, 3, 4 points. But it was just so far away from what we are this year. And I suppose it's a credit to Liam Cahill, and I said it in my speech that he built us up. He's the one that gave us belief when we needed it most, and he did. And the work that man went through on the off season just to rally the support on behind us again, because he believed in the group in front of him, and we believed in him as well.
Was there no ebbing of your belief in him as a manager? Because he's asking you to do things during the year, none of it's coming off. It would be easy for the senior players in the squad in particular to be thinking, well, maybe Liam Cahill isn't the guy.
There was no doubt that I knew that Liam Cahill was the man, and this group of players have been waiting for him to come in for the last number of years. And I suppose a lot of it has to come back down to the players, and it's the players' responsibility. We always refer to it in Tipperary when you're putting on the blue and gold jersey, that the supporters will either be up here with you or they will be down here, and that's just the way we are in Tipperary.
It's over-egged in Tipp, though, I think, isn't it? It's the same for every county, really, isn't it? People love a winning team.
I'm not too sure. I think in Tipperary, like we always refer to it, the last time we were in Croke Park was in 2019, and 6 years was too long. Tipperary is just a really competitive county and environment, and
huge expectation.
Like you said there's lads walking down to town. We were walking down to town, not getting out of Munster, and people shouting in your face. Literally, yeah, and people giving out straight to your face. What's he doing? What's this lad doing? Why aren't you doing this? I suppose I got a good bit of that as captain as well. So that's one side of it. Like, and now you're flipping it on the other side, and people.
But what would your response in those situations be like? With Kieran Whelan, the Dublin midfielder, on the show a few weeks ago, he talked about those 2 seasons under Tommy Lyons when they were knocked out of the Leinster Championship by Laois and by Westmeath. He said he didn't want to leave the house. He didn't want to be a Dublin footballer anymore. They were getting abused on the street. You've given us a very similar scenario there. Like, you love hurling, you love Tipp, you love your club. You're not going out to make mistakes. You're the captain of this team, and yet there are people who are supposed hurling lovers as well coming up to you and speaking to you in that way. This isn't like social media where people are hiding behind an emoji. They're actually saying this to you in the flesh.
Sure, listen, they are. And I know I refer to it like it's a tough place to be, and I suppose as players we questioned everything about what we were doing. Like, I sit down for coffee with Seamus Kennedy, I sit down for coffee with John McGrath nearly every lunchtime, and they're looking at each other across the table saying, where are we going to go with this? But like, you just have to start at the bottom again. But like, that's just the way it is, and I'm sure, like you said, it is like that in other counties as well. But you just have to be it's a skill in itself. You have to take it on the chin, and you're grinding your teeth looking at these people, because you're getting frustrated because the minute you're not winning, they're not supporting you. So you're kind of questioning that aspect of it as well. But like I said, get back to the ground and build up again, and that's what Liam Cahill done with all of us. And he put the support that we needed around, and it was just a really top class environment. Like, it was really difficult to leave the house at times. There was a long winter. You're waking up in the night, like wondering what's going to happen. Where are we going to go with this? And the only way you do that is get back onto the field. And like, we couldn't wait as a panel to get back on the field together to right all the wrongs, because we knew that wasn't us. Firstly, last year, not winning a match in Munster and having a really talented group of players, that wasn't us. So we just had to get back to the grindstone and trained really hard through the Christmas, and it puts you in a really good position when you have that confidence and belief of what you've done. But like I said, like, Liam Cahill just brought that belief in his management team, just built that belief into us and gave it confidence, and you got that through winning games through the league and getting to a league final, I suppose, in the end. But it was really, really low times last year, really, really low times, and didn't think I'd get the opportunity to captain Tipperary ever again. Had a really, really bad season, one in Tipperary's history that will probably go down in record as one of the worst, not winning a match in Munster. But were
you surprised then when he asked you to stay on as captain?
I was, in a way. I didn't know what he was going to do, and he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to lead the Tipperary team again, and he said to me that he wanted to see me lift silverware this year, and he said, I promise you, you'll be lifting silverware this year, I promise you. And he made me captain, and I was in tears walking away from him. He shook my hand and he said, go do it, and walked back out into the field and got back down, and he dogged the life out of us then. So in fairness to him, no, I was just, to have that trust in me and that trust in the group was just outstanding. Like, he believed in us, And like he brought up so many of those younger players as well, like, and he knew what he could get out of them, you know. But it's unbelievable to say that we actually went and we done it for him. Like, because he was true to whatever lads were saying to me. I'm sure there was plenty of worse going towards Liam Cahill, letters in the post, and like, because he's taken on the Manchester United managerial job, really, like, you know. And like I said, the expectation in Tipperary is just unbelievable. And like, one man, and he went through it all. He went through everything last year and the year before. So just to repay him this year was unbelievable. Dream come true, and yeah, it was brilliant.
What's it like when you have full belief in your manager and you believe the group has full belief in him, but you're seeing and hearing and reading all of the questions being raised about his methods outside of the county, that he trains it too hard, that it's too intense, that the tempo never drops, that he asks too much of you guys physically and emotionally, and then it's almost impossible for you to reach the pitch required on match day, that you're wrecked, that you are knackered. And even at times this year that was being mentioned, and you were going okay before you really reached that crescendo.
I don't know where those comments come from, because nobody watches our training. So I don't understand where all this is coming. Is it history or something? Because we trained hard like every other inter-county team trained hard through the winter. So I don't know where they get these messages that he...
Is it a hangover from the last year or two in Waterford, maybe?
Maybe so, but like, he looked after us. That management team looked after us from a welfare aspect so well. We trained hard, don't get me wrong. We trained really, really hard. But it wasn't all dogging, like, you know. So there's so much more to a game of hurling. Like I often say, you need the hurley in your hand more than you're meant to be in the gym, or you're meant to be out running on the fields. The hurley should be in your hand a lot more often than you're doing any of them. So we got a really good mixture this year. Like Mikey Beavens is one of the best coaches that I've ever trained under, and he had the help of David Herity as well. Like, those lads just put so much work into it, and I was so happy for him. And they got the mixture between everything really well. So I don't know where they were getting the comments that he keeps dogging us and stuff like that, because nobody sees our training. So
yeah, who'd have thought that a Kilkenny man might be one of the final little pieces of the jigsaw in David Herity and getting Tipp over the line. Again, something that's been mentioned a lot was the All-Ireland Minor Hurling Final of last year. Did you guys all go to that game in Nolan Park? Where, for those of our viewers and listeners who didn't see the game, but essentially Tipperary beat Kilkenny comfortably with 13 men. The 2 men sent off. Because of the lack of success that year and the year before that at senior level, thousands of Tipp fans went up to Nolan Park. Short enough journey, but they went in their throngs to watch this minor team. And that in some way, you guys as the senior group, supposedly the standard bearers, the flag bearers of Tipp hurling, were looking at this bunch of 17-year-olds representing the blue and gold, thinking, Jesus, this is what it means to play for Tipp. These lads are dying on their backs here to win an All-Ireland title. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Like, to go 2 men down very early in the game and to come out on top, and especially like against Kilkenny down in Nolan Park, like, it was unbelievable. But the excitement and the crowds filled the field after that was just unbelievable. And it really brings you back down to, I suppose, thinking to yourself, like, Jesus, this is unbelievable. We just desperate to get back to the same level as that. And in fairness to the lads that day, they were just outstanding. Like, but you can be sure walking across the field, you're nearly jealous of people, and you know, the Tipperary supporters are shouting and they're roaring and they're looking at you nearly as you're walking past. And it was kind of mixed emotions that day, but it was unbelievable, and it just shows that what Tipperary hurling is all about, really, that day did. Isn't there something beautiful though? It's a complete flip of the narrative that you would think traditionally the minors are the players who've been inspired by the seniors. We want to be those guys. We want to achieve what those lads are achieving. Where this one is just turned completely on its head. It's actually the senior guys who have been inspired by the teenagers. Yeah, and you're supposed to be the flag bearing team in Tipperary then, like, and it just shows, like, and you just get huge inspiration from it. And like, in fairness to James Woodlock, like, he drove that group, and obviously they believed in him fully as well. It was just unbelievable, and I don't know, we were all jumping out of our seats that day. It was just outstanding, and it just shows that you never give up in a game no matter what happens. And the young lads, in fairness, they died on every single ball that day. It was just inspirational stuff from everybody outside of Tipperary as well. It just showed the response they got, like, and it really was inspirational for Tipperary, and it really did drive us on, because we obviously wanted to be back up there at the pinnacle like them, in fairness to them. So it was unbelievable, and our 20s then again this year, just unreal. And you see the likes of Sam O'Farrell and Oisin O'Donoghue, those young lads coming onto our panel. They're just a breath of fresh air, like, It's like there's this carefree attitude coming in training every night, and I think that was put down through the rest of us as well. Like, it's just really refreshing, and like Oisín O'Donoghue, 19 years of age, to come on and get a goal against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland semi-final, probably one of the greatest goals ever. It was just unbelievable, and he's sitting beside him on the bus going home. Then you're looking at him and saying, does he realise what's after happening? Do you know? But they're just that type of group of individuals. They're outstanding, in fairness to them. Huge inspiration to everybody in their clubs and all the younger lads behind them as well.
But that goal, you're absolutely right. That just kind of encompasses that old adage, the fearlessness of youth. In an All-Ireland semi-final with the game in the melting pot 10 years' time, if Oisín's still part of the Tipp team, he probably won't try that. I don't know how he scored it.
It's a carefree attitude, isn't it? And he came on like he's been outstanding for us all year. Like, in fairness to him, and you look at Darragh then in the All-Ireland final scoring 112 or 113, like, after being sent off twice this year. Like, that man, that he was in school last year doing his leaving cert, and it just shows you like how outstanding these young lads are. And just they brought us on so much. Like, they have that bit of class in them as well. And there's 2 or 3 other under 20s there on our panel that you didn't see this year of, and they're class men as well. Like, you know, and you need that coming, I suppose, in Tipperary the whole time. We probably didn't have that coming the last few years. You know,
well, that's what minor 20 and senior All Irelands in the space of 12 months in the county. Like,
yeah, it's outstanding achievement when you put it like that. But like, yeah, they're really. It's after lifting the whole county, I think, big time now. I suppose next year now, going into it, the expectation will be on Tipperary again. But
we'll talk about next year towards the end, because we'll mention the fact that it's 1965, the last time Tipp went back to back, and for like one of the 3 heavyweight counties, there's an issue in there somewhere that I want to maybe tease out with you, and we have done that with your brother as well, and with Owen Kelly, who was also on the square ball in recent weeks. Because you're at such a low ebb going into the league is the league, as we keep hearing. Like, you can't put too much stock in it, and I'm sure like John Kiely and Limerick weren't putting an awful lot of stock in this year's league, but you were in a very different boat. You guys needed results quickly. Was the league taken more seriously this year than it might have been in previous seasons?
I think we looked at it from a different point of view. It wasn't necessarily going out and winning the league. That wasn't our plan, we'll say. Our plan was going out, getting good performances back to back, and trying to get that consistency back into our game, because that's what we were missing the last few years. And especially in Munster last year, we could start off a game really well and then die out of it for the second half. You know, teams came out and they hammered us in the first 5-10 minutes after half time. But our focus in the league was just to get game time into the legs and get good performances. Like, you could see throughout the league that loads of different players got game time. But like, it was just about getting games, good consistent performances back to back. And I'd like to think, looking back, that we did. And obviously we got to the league final, but it was never our plan to go all out for the league final. It was about just getting that consistency, and that's what we refer to.
And having got to the league final, like, there was just no time to breathe between that game against Cork and then the opener against Limerick. You're not expected to do much in that game. Limerick are everybody's All-Ireland favourites at the time. Didn't prove to turn out that way, but I was commentating on that game. It was an absolutely brilliant game of hurling. Ended in a draw. There was a big crowd. A lot of Limerick people made the trip as well. And was that the beginning of the turnaround in terms of this connection that we're talking about between you guys and the Tipp faithful?
I think so, because the crowd from Tipperary there, you could hear them that day, and it was just outstanding. Like, and we looking back in that game, I'd say, I know it finished in a draw, but I'd say we made more mistakes in that game than we did all year. But it was just the energy that the Tipp crowd saw, that we were just tearing into everything. And it was a cracker of a game. But it probably was the turning point, and we were lucky that game came so quick after the league final. We didn't have that long to dwell on it. And you have to move on pretty quickly, but just the atmosphere in the stadium that night, or that evening, was just unreal. And you could hear that the Tipperary supporters were back behind us. And you know, it was an outstanding performance, but there was lots of mistakes in it as well. But you look at the back of the, like, John McGrath and then burying goals that day, and it was just, it kick-started it all off. It was unbelievable, and the rain was pouring out of the heavens. It was just a cracker of a game, but definitely a turning point, and drove us on from then.
So much in hindsight is significant about that game, in that John McGrath hadn't started a championship match in 2 years, seemed to have kind of been put to the side by Liam. He was coming back from that terrible injury, obviously, as well, and at his age, don't want to write him off, but he's He's probably on the other side of his career than he was 10 years ago. For him to get those goals, we're introduced to Darragh McCarthy in a senior level sense. We're introduced to Sam O'Farrell from a senior point of view. You're back as captain. First game of the championship as captain since last year and the disappointment of last year. Liam Cahill haven't asked for the fans to come out, and they do. It was only one game, and it was a game you didn't even win. But now that we're looking back, the long lens, big picture sense, you've got the All-Ireland. There's so much that happened that day that seemed to have really important echoes throughout everything that followed after that.
Yeah, sure it was, and just like going back to John McGrath, like people had retired him the last two or 3 years.
So that's what we do. We're gonna do it with you, Ronan, soon enough. Like everybody pushes 30.
I might have to go.
We just want to write them off.
Oh, stop! Like it just shows the outstanding character that he is. Like we see what he does in the club championship. We see what he was doing in Tipp training every single night. Like he was just, no one deserves it more than he does. Because like he had the bad Achilles injury. To get back from that, he had bad groin injuries, his hips, like so much went wrong for him in the space of a couple of years, and just to bring himself the whole way back up. Seamus Kennedy, the very same, done the cruciate so late on last year, and to get himself back up again, it's just outstanding. That showed the characters we have in our dressing room. It was just unreal. But just back to the Limerick game, yeah, the support, like so much stuff went wrong that day, but it was the kickstart, because we knew we brought the fight that day, and once we bring the fight, our hurling and everything will look after ourselves. And I think that shows in history with Tipperary that once you bring that, the hurling will look after itself. But it definitely kickstarted us on. We knew what we had, and that was the thing. It was just about getting it out on the day. But it was great. It was like Limerick is just a great team. Everybody talks about them physically and how good they really are. And like I'd like to think that we matched up to them fairly well that day, and that's the Tipp crowd love to see that.
Obviously, Tipp trade in All-Ireland's, but the Munster Championship is something that every Tipp player dreams about going on to win. But I'm just wondering, in hindsight now, and I probably didn't feel that way at the time, but not getting out of Munster in the top two, avoiding that provincial final, did that stand to you? You got to play a couple of extra games. Yeah. Like you got to kind of tune up again with the Joe McDonagh Cup finalists, that it kind of, the roadmap was laid out in your favour from that point, not getting to that Munster decider.
Yeah, like you said, we got extra games, and it gave us a bigger opportunity to get our plan in place and get our structure, and it gave it that extra few weeks to train as well. So it definitely was a help in that aspect. But I suppose it's something that we referred to as just getting out of Munster. That was the big thing. Like Munster is unbelievably difficult. Like you look back this year, like in Clare not getting out of Munster after winning the All-Ireland last year, and they're a serious outfit. Like it just shows the competitiveness in there. Like in every game you play, no matter like the likes of Waterford, everybody, it's just so hard to beat them, like, and it's an outstanding championship. But we always said, get out of Munster and get up the M7, and we'll do our business then. And we'd full belief, and that's what Liam said to us: get up the M7 and we'll do what we have to do up there. Because like I said, it was back since 2019, so we played in Croke Park. But yeah, like the goal is to get out of Munster. But definitely the extra few games, the Laois game, definitely stood to us as well, like, you know, and the Galway game. And I suppose, looking back into 2023, Galway bet us in the Gaelic grounds, and that was hugely disappointing for us. Like, and just to get back and to right that wrong was definitely, it had to be done, we'll say. So
the Galway game looked like, apart from the preliminary quarter-final, the game you were most comfortable in. It just never looked like Galway were going to beat you that day. That was the first time I thought Tipp are really making some progress here, because it's not the greatest Galway team of all time, but you just never looked to be in any danger. So you get to that Kilkenny semi-final, another really good game, like, and that incredible moment towards the end. And I hope it's remembered. It could have been, and we talked about with Owen Kelly, who was in to preview the All-Ireland Final. It was very close to being one of the all-time great GA scandals. Like, if that ball isn't saved on, it was a Robert Doyle, yeah, saved it on the goal line. Like, if that ball ends up in the back of the net and the full-time whistle goes and the referee turns around to you guys and tells you that you're beaten and that you're out of the championship, it's that, for me, that would put what happened in 98 with the Offaly supporters in the shade. Every other GA scandal in history would have been in the halfpenny place in comparison to an inter-county team thinking they've qualified for the All-Ireland, whistle goes, you're told you're out because the referee's checked his notes and he realised the score was wrong all along. It was so close to catastrophe.
I don't even know where to start with it, to be honest with you, because it's just, it was crazy what was going on. And like, I thought it was 3 in it as well at the time after, but like, I know from speaking to the lads after that our lads knew on the bench that it was only 2.
They get that message out to you?
They didn't get it out to us, but I'm just saying that they knew on the sideline.
Okay.
But like, just going like...
The Kilkenny lads clearly didn't think it was 2.
No. And listen, like you said, if it was the other way around, I would have been on my knees. And I wouldn't have believed it when it was said. But like, it's just crazy. And I suppose it's just human error. Like, I don't know like what you can do about it. And in fairness to Kilkenny, and Liam Cahill said they didn't complain once they were bet on the day they were bet, and that was
it. There a fear in the 48 hours post-match that there might be calls for a replay?
No. I didn't. It never entered my mind. And like I said, Kilkenny, the great county that they are, once they were beaten on the day on the field and the final whistle was blown, they weren't going to kick up a fuss over it. At
what point post full-time whistle do you realise that the score had been wrong?
I didn't realise it until I was in the shower after the match,
really?
and when the lad said it, I didn't realise it.
It's that long?
Yeah, and it's like, because there's so much mixed emotions of celebrating after winning, and it was just crazy. And like, I'm sure the Kilkenny lads were the same when they went in.
Because it did totally change their frame of mind for that last few minutes. They're going for a goal.
They're going for a goal, yeah.
There's plenty of time to tack over the 2 points that they needed to make it a draw game.
And sure, listen, it's just bizarre when you think about it, and like you'd feel sorry in a way, but I don't know, did I think Noel's pint went over the bar that time? I'm not sure, like, you know, and the whole crowd went mad. So I don't know, but listen, it's done now, and like, it's crazy just to think that it happened. You know, we're so far on now, with Hawkeye and with everything. Like, you know, you think it would be well managed, but listen, like I said, in fairness to Kilkenny, they're like ourselves in Tipperary. They
could have turned it into something monumental.
Yeah,
and they
didn't. In fairness to them, so
and they deserve an awful lot of credit for that. So you've only got 2 weeks to prepare for the final. The media day, if I'm right in saying, was it the Monday? Was it the day after? 2 days after Kilkenny, then Tuesday maybe.
The Tuesday.
And it's put to Liam Cahill about in his attempts to try and curb this Cork attack that he might utilise a sweeper.
Did he say that?
It was put to him.
All right.
And he said, I'm paraphrasing here, Liam, get in touch with us if I'm completely taking you out of context or misquoting you. But he said, in all my years of coaching hurling, I have never deployed a sweeper. Why would I start doing it now? And he threw everybody, like made everybody look like a fool. At what point in the preparations post Kilkenny does the prospect of a sweeper get brought up in the group?
I suppose it was later on in the week when we got back training, and it was mentioned in the group, all right, but we couldn't.
By who?
By our management team. I would say Liam Cahill and Mikey Beavens. Obviously, we were going through our video analysis and stuff like that. But obviously we couldn't play. There was supporters there that night and stuff like that, so it was all hush at the time. But we knew, and when Liam Cahill and Mikey Beavens and David Herity said it, there was no question about it. Because let's be honest, we look back at the league final, look back at the second round of the Munster Championship. Cork absolutely blitzed us, and the game was over before we could even get going. You know,
and then look at Dublin in the semi-final.
And then and
went man for man.
Yeah, went for man, and I suppose there wasn't that bit of protection there either. So when it was mentioned, we got on with it. Didn't blink an eyelid, and we just had full belief. But we did say that we were going to be the most attacking team on the day. We were not going. It was just a change in numbers. We weren't going to take a step back, and we went out that we were going to attack all around. And I think on the day you see Robert Dial tearing up from cornerback, got a pint. You see Mikey Breen tearing up the field. Owen Connolly going up the field.
Your goalkeeper.
Reese getting a pint, you know. So like whatever about playing the sweeper, and everybody puts that lingo on it, but it's just a reshuffling of numbers, and it worked on the day. But
was it Brian O'Mara? Was it always going to be him from moment one when this idea was first floated that he would be the man to perform that role?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, listen, it was Brian, and he's an outstanding hurler and an athlete, and he has had some unbelievable year. Oh my God, the best year he's ever put on, I'd say, in the Tipperary jersey, and he was outstanding. From the very beginning in that Limerick game, he was outstanding. So and he was unbelievable again on Sunday.
So I'm assuming when you're training away and you're trying to go through these game-based scenarios, and you've got maybe some players who aren't going to be in the starting 15 acting as the Cork forwards, and you're trying to kind of go through these things in real time, that there would have been discussion around what your reaction would be if Cork wise up early in the first half to Brian's role and push a player up to occupy him, make it 7-on-7. Was there much time spent kind of going through, well, if Cork responded this way, this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, we always had a plan B. We always had a plan B if that did happen. And we thought that it would happen straight away as well. Because I think Clare kind of touched on a small bit of that last year as well in the All-Ireland Final. So we had a plan B. But like it's very difficult when you're on the opposition on the day to adjust when something is thrown at that, even if you do have a plan, you know. So listen, we stuck with it and it worked.
Were you shocked? They didn't seem to react at all. And they kept pumping ball down on top of Brian. And they weren't flooding that area at all.
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier said than done. And like, it's hard, I suppose, when you're not used to. I don't think anybody has played an extra man against them back like that. And you can prepare for it, but when it's done on the day, it's a lot more difficult.
But they would have come up against Waterford under Davy, Waterford under Darragh McCarthy. They would have played Wexford in the league under Davy, who would have been playing an extra man. Like, this isn't the first time. My point would be that if you would be disappointed in your management team if the shoe was on the other foot, and such a massive tactical development in the game cost you so badly.
Well, it's not new. You play it at Fitzgibbon. Lads have played it at Fitzgibbon. They've played it in the league. They've played it in Championship as well. Like, so it isn't new to anybody, a sweeper. And I know teams have gone away from it now, but a lot of teams play a deep number 6 as well. So you are used to it. But I can't speak for Cork. I don't know what the...
It's not your problem.
Yeah, it's not. I can't discuss it for them. But like, maybe I don't know, do they have a system that they're so used to playing, and I put them out of that system? I'm not sure, but I can't speak for them. I could only speak from what we done and from our point of view. But I think everybody on the day battled with their man against beside them, hip to hip, and they bet them, and that's, I think, was the reason that we got over the line on the day.
Now, the man you've been asked to battle with on a game-to-game basis is more often than not is the star forward in the opposition. So I don't think anyone was shocked when you were asked to take on Brian Hayes, who certainly in the eyes of a lot of people was in hurler of the year form going into that final. He's a monster. He's quick. He's great hands. He's got the speed. Did you ask to take him on, or was that a role that was assigned to you?
You're asking me all the right questions here now, aren't you? No, listen, I suppose the lads had been putting me on, a few lads on the way up to it, and I suppose, like you said, you could see it coming then for the final, and I kind of had an idea that I was going to be Mark and Brian, who had an outstanding year, in fairness to him. But I kind of did like the aspect of taking him on. I did like the challenge of it, and I got the opportunity. But like, let's say the whole Cork forward, the whole 6 forwards, and the lads that have been coming on all year have been just gelled so well together, and they've been unbelievable. So like, I think it was the fact that we took down everybody on the day obviously had an impact, and it helped me out as well with Brian. Like, and he's such a handful as well. You know, he's huge. He's an athlete as well at the same time, and his hurling is really good. So listen, it's just, I had plenty of lads around me to help me, and but I was happy to take on the challenge on the day, and thankfully it paid off. Other days that doesn't pay off, and you get to hear all about it as well. So
you're around that Tipp setup a decade now, and you've had some really good days in terms of your performance levels, but that seemed to be your second half performance in particular. And I knew you're shifting uncomfortably in your seat because I'm just looking across at you praising you. It's difficult to accept compliments, us being Irish people, but you almost seem to be in like some sort of a zen zone in that second half. Like, everything just worked for you. Like, Hayes was just taken out of the game. Yeah, you broke some ball, but you caught an awful lot of ball as well, and then used it in the right way. And are there just days, and you dream that if that day does come, it's a bloody All-Ireland final, that it just seems to be coming easier to you on that day than other days for whatever reason, and you can't bottle it, and it may never come back again, but that maybe was one of those days?
Yeah, listen, it's just something, like I said at the start of the pod, that you dream of. And I did look back at a lot of the clips from 2019 when we played Wexford and we played Kilkenny, and I felt that I played really, really well both those days. And I knew I was going to be playing in a similar position. Marked Conor McDonald in that position back in 19, marked Colin Fennelly in that position in 19. So I kind of looked back in a lot of clips from that year, and it was the last time obviously we were in Croke Park. So I was looking at those clips all week and visualising them, and that's what I had planned in my head that I was going to do. And thankfully it was nearly the very same thing. Balls were coming down on top of us, and breaking ball, and just, I suppose, defending really well as a unit. And it was just unbelievable. And I suppose just to be able to do it on the final day of the year, and All-Ireland final day, being captain, was just, it's still hard to believe. It hasn't, would you believe I still haven't watched the match back, haven't got the opportunity to watch it back yet. So
that'll be a pleasure now, sitting down on a couple of beers maybe and watching that match.
We get the opportunity, but it was just unreal. And not every game went that way for myself this year. There was ups and there was downs, and there was times where we were struggling with injuries, and people don't hear about it then as well, and you're just trying to get through and just to get back up to Croke Park, and I suppose, like you said, just to put in that performance. But just huge credit to everybody around me as well, because when I was down on the ground as well, they picked me up. It was just great people to be around, and I'd like to think everybody put in some shift on the final. It wasn't just me. John McGrath, Darragh McCarthy, Owen Connolly, Brian Maher, all these lads, Robert Dial, they were outstanding. Jake Morris, they were outstanding all year. And it's just the fact that it was the All-Ireland final day, and it happened to be me that got it, but you could have given it to anybody. Darragh McCarthy, 19 years of age, 20 years of age, to score 113, just unbelievable. Whatever about me dreaming about being captain and win the All-Ireland final, let's say that was all his dreams come true.
Well, you might need to, from your 2016 experience, give Darragh a little shake and say, make sure you enjoy this.
Yeah.
I know you're young and you think it might come next year and the year after, but Tipp didn't hurt at Croke Park for 6 years, as you keep saying. Darragh probably make sure that he enjoys this one, in the hope that 4 or 5 more come along. Look at Owen Kelly winning with Lara in 2001. 9 years they had to wait before they got back.
And you can't take it for granted. And I said it to the lads, and even during the week when we were celebrating, I said, you have to enjoy this. And you have to get back grounded fairly quick as well after, because it's just all over in a flash. It'll be Christmas before you know it. You'll be back training, and you have to get back down to where you started again. And that's just the bottom line of it, and that's just the joys of the GAA and the hurling. You just have to get back to that sport. But you really have to enjoy it while it's there. And the security actually had to kick us all off the field the other day, because we were just sitting around and walking around, meeting our family and just enjoying the moment, because they don't come around too often. History has shown us that in Tipperary. So you just have to enjoy it. But just absolutely so happy for everybody.
At one point in the first half, when you guys were hitting a lot of wides, I thought, this is going to kill Tipperary. They're going to be heading back down the M7 on Monday morning, thinking, Jesus, we had so many first half chances, and I thought you were really going to rue them. And then when the goal went in, I thought even more so, those wides are going to drag that mood in the halftime change room down, and you're 6 down. So if you combine the wides that you struck and the concession of the goal so close to halftime, was that a real sickener?
The goal was definitely a sickener before half-time. It was nearly second last puck of the ball. But up to that, I felt that we were hurling really well, and we were defending really well up to that. And I think we butchered 2 goal chances as well at the other end. And we just weren't executing. But shooting into Hill 16 is not to be underestimated either. It's actually very hard up at that end of the field. But we had said it on the build-up. If we were within 5-6 points at half-time, we'd be happy, and that's the place we wanted to be in. So I know everybody from the outside is saying, oh, gee, Tipper 6 points down, I don't think this is going to be too well, but we were right where we wanted to be. Was
there any talk of going back man for man at half-time? Wasn't even mentioned?
No, never even mentioned. And like I said, I thought we were hurling really well, and Brian Maher was getting onto a lot of ball as well. And that was it. And we had our chat like we usually did. It was, like I said, it was a calm dressing room, and Liam Cahill just told us to go out and win the All-Ireland final, and that's what we done.
So what happens over the following 35-40 minutes is unprecedented. People were scratching around for comparisons to that Cork second half collapse. I can't imagine how difficult the last 2 weeks has been for the Cork management and players, but to score 2 points in a half of hurling is beyond belief. Have you ever seen anything like that in all your years hurling at club or inter-county level?
No, I suppose I haven't. And I'm sure it's very difficult for Cork to try and get their heads around it now. But they will, I'm sure. They will get their heads around it. And like every other team, they'll come back from it as well. And they're outstanding. Like, they've an outstanding group of players there as well. But it was just pure rock and roll, I think, from the minute the ball was thrown in at half time. Like, we just flew into everything. Tipperary, and we got the break of the ball as well. Cork hit the post. It came down off the post. Reese was gone looking for another slitter. It went around, hit the other side of the post. And Reese picked it up then. And I think we got our goal off that then. It came down, I delivered it up to Jake, and Jake hit it short.
There was definitely an element of bad fortune at times.
Yeah, there was.
They obviously battled the crossbar with another goal effort.
But it just shows, like, the way it was in the second half. It was mayhem, like. But I'd like to think that it was controlled mayhem from our point of view. And, like, I don't know, did they not have belief in what they were doing or what the story was at the end of the game? But I suppose we just defended really well, the whole team, from corner forward up to Reese and the goals. Like, we just defended as a unit, and I suppose we just really wanted it bad. We really wanted that game bad enough, and it worked for us.
Talk to us about Reese as a character. Like, in the last 2 and 3 seasons, he hasn't always been first choice. He's had a real battle with a couple of guys for that number 1 jersey. You said rock and roll hurling there. He's a rock and roll goalkeeper, isn't he? Like, he's just all energy. Nothing seems to faze him. He'll take anything on. Like, his reaction to the penalty save, his reaction to his score, even though the game was over at that point. He's quite a character in that change room, I'd say, is he?
I always refer to him as the monk out of the green machine. He's that kind of a character. He's wild. And I suppose, like, listen, he's been criticised for that over the years, for his I suppose, the way he is on the goals, how energetic he is and stuff like that. But he really sets the tempo in the goals, and he's so brave as well. And he's had an outstanding year, in fairness to him, but he's mad. Reese is mad, he is. And
all goalkeepers are, they're not.
And, like, I think it actually benefited him when he got to Croke Park. He absolutely took it in his stride and loved every minute of it. I know there was one stage in the Kilkenny game, he was out wing back, and I had to roar at him to get back into goals. I said, what is this lunatic doing? But, like, that's just the character Reese is, and everybody loves him. And like, he really set the tempo for him. He was outstanding. Just think of the puck out he hit down to Willie Connors in the first half. Like, that just shows how brave he was. Like, it's outstanding. And someone that you'd like playing in front of the whole time. Really, really brave. And he had a really good year as well. But he is the monk.
That's gas. Can you give us a sense, if there was one at all, of the vibe amongst the Cork forwards, the Cork players in your vicinity of the field, as the second half starts to unravel so disturbingly from a Cork point of view? Like, is there any chatter amongst the players that you're marking, or the other couple of Cork players who are in your part of the field, that almost a sense of disbelief that, like, what's happening to us here?
I suppose it's hard to say in the moment. Like, I know Brian Hayes was getting a drink of water out of the goals and stuff like that, but there wasn't much chatter or anything like that. Because I suppose you're thinking then they're waiting for their opportunity and whatever, but, like, we just didn't let them get into their groove, I think, in the second half, and it just went on, and I don't know, there probably was that element of shock then in it. But there wasn't much chatter. I suppose Croke Park and Cork themselves are very fast, so you're just trying to stay beside them at the best part of it, you know. And but no, there wasn't too much out of them. Now, in fairness, after they shook hands with all of us and we shook hands with them, and they were gracious. But sure, listen, it's just sport at the end of the day, and it's going to be a tough one for them to take. But we've all been there. We've all had to take really bad defeats, and you just have to build yourself back up again.
At what point did you think this is done? Don't say the full-time whistle, because no one will believe you.
I suppose for me it was when Darragh McCarthy got won the free underneath the Hogan stand. Damien Cahill was charging against him, and he stood up. Darragh stood up and gave the fist up to the crowd, put the ball down, got into his routine, thrown the grass up in the air, stood behind it. I don't think there was any Cork fans booing him at that stage, and he just nailed it over the bar. And I said, this is it. This is going to be our day. Don't know what that put us up in the end, but there wasn't long left. And I was so happy for him then that was him that done it, because he's been through the ringer this year as well. So that was just unbelievable. And I knew at that stage you could start to enjoy it. Although I was in full back, and the lads will say that I was eating the head off everybody around me to come on and keep going. But deep down I kind of knew at that stage that we were going to do it.
Darragh McCarthy, he's come up a few times in this conversation, obviously, and he's finished the year as an under-20 All-Ireland winner and as an All-Ireland senior winner as well, which is just unbelievable. That is the stuff dreams are made of. But he's had nightmares as well in 2025. So 2 red cards. What was the ability of the squad to rally around him after the first Cork game in the group stage of the Munster Championship? I know he was met by Noel McGrath as he left the field, so that was the first little example that you guys were going to close ranks around him. But he must have been devastated because he cost you the game. The game was never a contest after that. And for somebody so young and so inexperienced, God, you just wanted his mother to run onto the field and put her arms around him and tell him everything was going to be okay.
Yeah, really tough one for him to take. And it's just, he had great people around him and supported him. Noel walked him off the field, and when he got into the dressing room, he had every single body around him as well. And you just look back at it now, the likes of Jake Morris would have met him on the Monday straight away. And he was in a good place after, because he knew that we were all okay with it in the dressing room, and I think that's all that mattered to him once we were all okay with it. And in fairness to Liam and the management team, gave him so much support as well. So I'd say once he was comfortable with that, he was okay. And we knew when we fought for him, we said, we'll get you back onto we'll have you back, don't worry. And it wasn't going to cost us the championship. And thankfully, looking back, it didn't now. But at the time, it was really tough on him. It was scary because you said, oh, here we go again. But he's so friendly he is with Noel McGrath. And I suppose having him beside him, he sits beside him on the bus every day. He idolises him. So
it must be 15, 16 years in age gap between those two.
Yeah,
they're an odd couple, aren't they?
Sure. Listen, I suppose he's been looking at Noel for the last how long? Sure, growing up, and probably one of his favourite hurlers, you know. And it's just to even get to play alongside Noel for him is unbelievable, I'd say, and it's a dream come true. So, like I said, he had the support, he had the players around him, and it took a lot of courage now for him just to come back and do what he done. Even after the semi-final, it has to be said, it's unbelievable.
So what was he like after that one? Because that could have cost you a semi-final, the rap on the knuckles of Owen Murphy. That was loose, and I'm sure Darragh probably acknowledged that afterwards, but he had to sit in the stand for 10 or 15 minutes and watch you guys try and get the job done in his absence. That must have been an agonising few minutes for him.
Sure, and there's a good visual of him pulling the hair out of his head and holding on to the miraculous medals, so you can only... It happened John McGrath in 2019 against Wexford as well, and it was like deja vu. And it must be an awful position to be in. But his good mate Oisín came on and pulled him out of the fire then, and it was just unbelievable. Another 2 All-Irelands for Oisín as well, and for Sam this year. So he had those characters, those lads that they're all best friends, and we had everybody around him. And I suppose looking back at the second yellow, it's hard to know what way you'd look at it. I know. It's the first yellow that cost him really at the end of the day.
Yeah, so, look, if you're going to question, I think the referee has to show a yellow card for the rap on Owen's hand.
Their hands are tied. Just happened to be Darragh.
The first one's the issue, probably.
Yeah, and that's just Darragh chasing down Everton, and he has that little streak in him as well, which probably makes him so good as well. So he does get a lot of himself on the field. So outstanding courage for him to he went through the year and then just to come back and do what he done.
And all the talk in the build-up as well. I know some players will say, we don't listen to what's going on at the outside. But David Clifford acknowledged last weekend that if you don't read or hear it yourself, someone will bring it to you. The age we live in, particularly someone of Darragh's age, who's probably into his social media. And a lot of talk that he was going to be taken off the freeze, maybe that you wouldn't start him at all. And for him to repay the faith that Liam showed in him in every facet of his game must have been just so... fulfilling for Liam, for Darragh, his family, his club mates, and for all of you guys in the squad.
Yeah, and it was well deserved. At the end of the day, it was well deserved, and it just shows the support Liam gave him and how good he was to him as a manager was unbelievable. And I'd say once Liam showed that confidence in him, Darragh was okay, and we knew he would be.
What about the penalty?
It's outstanding, because I know it was said to Jason Ford before that he was taking the penalties if we got one. And in fairness to Jason, as experienced he is as a free taker or a penalty taker, everything, he sprinted over to the line and said, let Darragh hit it, because he's creaming all the frees all day. And Darragh,
the way he's shaped up, everything about his body shape said he's going to the keeper's left. And I've got my young fella to have a look and I said, watch the way he's given this guy the eyes, the way he's opened his body to go to the other side, and then he's able to change. Well, that's how I read it anyway. You're far more educated in these physiological hurling matters than I am. Is that the way it looked to you? He looked for all the world, he was going the other way?
Yeah, it did. And I suppose think Patrick Collins went the right way in the end, but it was just rifled through. But like he's taking them every night of the week, and like there's times where we're training and he's up in Toomey Field after training shooting. So like there's no better man to put in that position, and he's visualised that, I'd say, 100 times up in his own clubhouse. So just a really talented hurler and finished the penalty really well.
Okay, last couple of questions. Looking towards, you've got a club campaign to get out of the way. You'd be hoping to be hurling with Sarsfields well into the winter and maybe potentially get yourselves back to Croke Park at some point. So 2026 and Tipperary must seem an awful long way away for you, but we're not going to speak to you until then, so we're going to do it now. You mentioned, Clare, All-Ireland champions, didn't get out of Munster. So that's what can befall an All-Ireland champion and the bear pit that is the Munster Championship. We mentioned that you have to go back to 65, the last time Tipp just successfully defended Liam McCarthy. So where to now for this group?
It's a tough question now. It's back to it's really pulling it all back, I think. And I think you need to pull everything back well before near the end of Christmas. Like you can't carry this celebrations, you can't carry this year, you can't carry 2025 on into next year. I think you have to pull it all back and just go through everything that you've done before, and then that's going through the tough work.
But you have been part of 2 Tipp teams that have won the All-Ireland and haven't managed to replicate it the following years. So,
well, it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy.
Clearly not.
No. But like that's where it'll start. Like and Liam Cahill is the most groundedest manager ever, and you can be sure that he's going to pull us all back in fairly quickly and get back down to basics. And you can be sure that there's more young fellas going to come along as well. And
how crucial is that element of competition in the panel now with this year's under-20s? Outside of the 3 that we've mentioned, Sam and Darragh and Oisin, there'll be more obviously coming through. There might even be a couple of last year's minors that are thinking, we'll have a crack at this senior panel.
Definitely, and there's some lads that you didn't even get to see this year that have been going really well as well. So it's really healthy, and it's really important in Tipperary, especially, that we keep these coming through now. And I think Sunday will help that now. That's going to bring on a whole other bunch again. So it's about getting back to it, like I said, and getting the work done and focusing, I suppose, on getting the performances in early next year as well. Because before you're facing into that Munster Championship, God only knows if we'll get out of it either. You know, so you really have to bring yourself back and focus on the Munster Championship again and making sure everybody's ready to go come the first round of the championship. It's hard to say much more on it now because I'm not in that position, but you just really have to, from my experience in winning before, you have to get back to earth fairly, very quickly after it.
So lastly, you were in Croke Park on Sunday for the Kerry Donegal game, and I don't know, were you in the ground when the Jubilee team was being presented? And clearly you would have been in the dressing room when the Jubilee team was being presented on All-Ireland Hurling Final day. But I was pitch side and seeing Moynihan and Darragh O'Shea and Mike Frank, who still looks like a young fella, and Maurice Fitz. When you see the Jubilee team, so it's like your first Jubilee year is not a million miles away, like 2016, so it's only 16 years away, that you will be on that field 3 times now minimum on Jubilee Day. That's 3 All-Ireland Final days that yourself and Paudie, please God, are all you're going to be part of. It's a lovely kind of warm feeling, isn't it?
It is, and it's unbelievable. And it only hit home on the Monday or Tuesday after winning. That there was 5 of us, I think, that won 3 of them, and we got a picture together. It just hits home. Like it's such an unbelievable achievement. And you look back at Limerick there the last few years, and you're like, how are they doing it? Like step 4 and 5, it's just outstanding. And to have 3 is just, it's crazy. And it's
Noel's first Jubilee is only 10 years away.
Yeah, and he's 4 now. So, and he's up there in the league of his own. You know, it's just unbelievable, and it's hard to put into words really. But to have 3, for us to have 3 at the moment it's unbelievable. To get 2 was class. To get 1 was even unbelievable, and I know the lads at home will always say, just to win 1 All-Ireland Final, you're so lucky. But to have 3 now, it's unbelievable. But we won't try and settle at that yet now.
You can try and make history and bridge that gap back to the mid-60s. Look, it sounds like you've really enjoyed it. You rightly so. As you said, you have to enjoy these days when they come along. It's been brilliant to have you in so fresh after the back end of the championship. Best of luck with the club, and best of luck with getting back on on the wagon then once you get towards Christmas and beyond. Ronan, it's just been a privilege to have you in today. Congratulations on everything the year has brought you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Sound.
So that is the first set of brothers we've had, Paudie and Ronan Maher on the Squareball podcast. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. We have got one more week to go before we bring the curtain down on what has just been an absolutely brilliant few months here on the Squareball as we bring the curtain down on season 2. Make sure you get in touch with us on YouTube if you've been watching us on your YouTube channel at the Squareball Pod. You can get us on social media as well at William Hill Ireland on Instagram and on Twitter, and make sure you're subscribed and in touch with us as well on Spotify. You can leave a comment there as well. Anything that you would like to see brought in the months to come. We hope we will be bringing you way more interviews next year as well. Let us know. We love to hear your ideas, and we enjoy every bit of engagement we get from our viewers. So until next week, which will be our final episode, enjoy the week, and we'll speak to you again soon.